Welcome back. This is a current public service announcement, an update, if you will, as of October 4th, 2024. We have an upcoming election coming up on November 4th, and on the nonpartisan ballot, you should know who you're voting into office. Now, when I wrote this book, From Pepperdine to Prison, and I stated in this book, I outlined exactly what's going on, and I changed some names around because I was not going to be responsible for anybody getting indicted, or I will not appear as a witness for anybody, to put anybody in jail or ruin anybody's job or career or anything like that. Okay, but I paid an enormous price for my silence. And what I did was protect prosecutors and judges, basically, from the corruption, from public corruption that they were involved in and the things I witnessed. I would like to preface this. I have no axe to grind. I do not profit from this. Yes, I sell a book, but, I had no illusions I was going to make any money off of that. I turned down a large cash offer for the rights of this book, but now there's plans to make a movie from this, and I retained all the rights. That was my final goal for this. So that's being worked on right now. So this is a public service announcement and nothing else. Like I said, I live in St. Clair. I don't even vote in Macomb County. But the last thing you vote for on a nonpartisan ballot in the election is for a judge. And you will see the judges' names. Now, I did put out a statement that they cannot continue to use public office for personal gain. However, there are two judges, one on the circuit court, one on the district court, the chief judge of the 41A district court in Sterling Heights, Macomb Township, and Shelby, and the other one's on the circuit court. That would be the Dishonorable Richard Coretti on the circuit court and the Dishonorable Stephen Sorosky on the district court. Now, why am I coming out now? I mean, what's the reason, the ulterior motive? Well, it's not greed, it's the antithesis of that. Because I was just watching American Greed the other day, and this is like a bad version of one of those shows, man, with Bill Curtis or Stacy Keach. I mean, I sat there and witnessed these acts for the last 30 years, 25 to be sure. And, I'm holding the cards here. When the FBI came to me, I would not cooperate with them. It was not my job. And I did it under the code that I live by, okay? But they're continuing. They're gonna get reelected on November 4th, okay? And you got to ask yourself, well, what's the reason? Now, the feds already knew because they brought their names up to me. I didn't bring it up to them, so they already knew. But what's the reason they're not going after these guys? For all I know, they already did, and they're already cooperating. Maybe it's a sealed indictment. I don't know. However, the other stronger, more salient reason is that because if they catch them on a bribery scheme or anything like that, they'd have to pull cases for the last 20 years. It would open the floodgates. Because if they did it around me, and I'm just a one-guy operation, they did it around a lot of other people. Now, I say I hold the cards, okay? Sorosky, Coretti. By the way, Sorosky's the worst of the worst, if you want to rank these people. But now these guys are still in office, and they're going to maintain their offices. We're talking about bribery, extortion, embezzlement, fraud, thievery. In public corruption is like, look, I can go to the Michigan Attorney General's office and file a complaint with the integrity unit. And these guys, they go after these guys tomorrow, but I would have to sign that complaint. And I refuse to do that, even if called by the FBI or the feds. In a case, I would be what's called a hostile witness. I would not help their case out. I would refuse to testify. They could put me in jail for contempt. I don't care. I'm not gonna be involved in that. But I never said I wouldn't cooperate because I get a ton of phone calls about people saying, hey, is the judge you mentioned in this book, is that so-and-so or so-and-so? And I'm surprised by the number of people that don't know. There's a lot of people who do know. And believe me, another attorney, they just don't have the balls. They're not going to cut their own throat. Some of the judges don't even know, but some of the other judges know because I've talked to them. All right? Now, these so-called best friends of mine, Coretti was coming up to where I live up here in a small town right before I went to prison. I love you like a brother. They do the long hugs and, you know, we were on your team. We'll do anything for you. The minute I went to prison and I couldn't no longer pull my wallet out to spring for his vacations, which averaged around, let's say, around 20,000, you know, for the 2-week vacation, 25,000. I would pay the judge when he'd hand me a post-it, just a little thing like this, and there would be a number on it, and he'd hand it to me. He said, "You have 60 days to pay it." Charges from his credit card, the frequent flyer miles for the first-class tickets down to Cabo. You got to ask yourself, who paid for that? What sounds right about an attorney paying a judge cash 60 days after a trip? Does that sound right to you? Well, listen, I did it. I'm a big boy, and I took responsibility for it, you know. That's called play to pay. But what am I getting it? Did I do a bribe for that? Hell no, I didn't need to. You know, but it did make my life a lot easier when I knew a judge was not going to say no to me. The Sorosky, on the other hand, you got to understand, this is not my opinion. And maybe, I don't like this guy, or has he offended me, or whatever. Come on. He's got his wife running for public office, his son running for public office against Judge Shepard's kid. And Judge Shepard is he's as honest as the day is long, you know, and he's in the same division but a separate court, you see. So, you know, Judge Shepard, you know, he's a good guy. He probably doesn't want to know what this guy's doing, but probably knows subconsciously. I know consciously. I know I've seen the passing of envelopes. I've seen Coretti take the Rolex watch for a bribe. I mean, that's what I witnessed. Now, if you don't believe me, my credibility's never been an issue, so it shouldn't be a problem, but let's put the polygraph machine, let's just take the book, throw it in the fucking garbage, put the polygraph machine out, put these guys here, and let's do it that way. Because I'll do it. And what, you know, before I couldn't put their names in the book because I was under threats of further indictment, political reprisals, things of this nature. And, you know, now that all the dust is cleared and everything, they can't sue me because truth is an absolute defense to any type of slander, which is oral, like I'm doing now, or written, which is libel. Truth is an absolute defense. So, you know, what's so hard about telling the truth? In my case, well, sometimes it doesn't make me look too good. Well, what the fuck do I care, man? I'm over 60 now, you know, and I lived a hell of a life, man. That's not my way of, like, redeeming myself or getting redemption or anything like that. Man, I've already got all that. But there's an election coming up, and the people that pay taxes, that work hard, that are on a limited wage, look what you're voting into office. These guys, are you kidding me? Here's what it all comes down to, people. These people like the dishonorable Richard Coretti, like the dishonorable Stephen Sorosky, running around town, you know, with the robe, acting like big shots. They want to be in all the five-star restaurants. Sorosky's on a private jet going to Las Vegas. You know, Coretti's vacationing almost a month down in Mexico, goes all over South Beach, Miami, and all this other shit. I mean, can you do that on a government wage? Making 100, 110,000, 116,000, whatever they make. You couldn't do it. A factory worker makes 150,000. They couldn't do it. A police officer in Detroit makes $140,000 because they work their overtime. They work their ass off for it. Okay, and while Coretti pretends to be an ex-Detroit police officer, a narcotics cop, that's a joke. I mean, he was an appointed job from his father, who was a cop. They got him in there so he could study for the bar exam, and he works surveillance. He's never even been on a drug raid, but he acts like he was a narcotics cop. I can go on with these specific examples all day. I am more interested in your comments, and if people even care anymore, especially the voters of Macomb County. So if you care, if you do, please leave a comment or whatever. I got a website. I'm not very good on social media, but, you know, whatever. If you're interested, please share this with your family, your friends, your loved ones, your neighbors, people that are interested, or people that, you know, work and pay taxes, and you're paying their salaries. You know, they're supposed to be accountable to you. What? I'm telling you straight out of the things I've witnessed. And With Sorosky, the extortion is, come on, that's over the edge, you know. Coretti, he's more into the pay-to-play things because he thinks he's at a higher level. But, you know, people, come on. It's just plus or minus, and the numbers never equal out. If they stuck a microscope up these guys' ass, you will see that it's financially impossible to do what they're doing on the government wage. And what are you going to say? They have smart investments. They're investors now. Investors into my money. Yeah. You know. So, you know, a guy like me, live a kind of a reckless lifestyle and pay, fuck it, man, and go take a judge out to vacation. I spring for everything, you know. And, you know, what about the women? That costs money, too. Oh, I don't think it's illegal down there. I don't know. You'd have to ask the owner of the escort service. He says it's legal. I don't know. But, you know, he's right. He's not paying for any ass because he never pays. Somebody else does. What about the $500 bottles of wine? What about the 5-star dinners, you know, 5 nights a week? Who's paying for all that? If it's not coming from your tax dollars, it's coming from a guy like me. And I'm saying, you know, in retrospect, maybe what I did, some of that stuff was not morally right. But, you know, nobody was getting hurt, and, you know, my clients were happy, and, you know, well, they were really happy. You know, but then people like Sorosky, they cross the line. Then they demand money. They tax you on the thing. Coretti tries to be more of a gentleman about it. When he's in the jacuzzi, yelling in the other room, "I need bubbles for my bubble bath." Isn't that a form of extortion? Anyhow, if you're interested in this type of thing, I'll make a couple more videos and I'll give you more specifics. I just didn't do it up to this point because it just wasn't timely, and I didn't want it to seem like I had sour grapes or anything. I've already moved on. I've got a lot of other things going on, and it's just informative, that's all. I'm really not that serious about anything. Live and let live, man. I'm just an old hippie, but you should know this. You should know what's going on. Hey, thanks for taking the time out of your day for watching this video. Please be sure to like this video and to subscribe to the channel for more videos.